Hello everybody, so I thought I'd continue with the Mr. R analysis of the interview with Chris Anderson from TCAT, just in case you didn't see the first part, which seemed to have gone down quite well. I'm going to refer to him as Mr. R to try and coincide with YouTube's harassment and bullying guidelines. So here we go. We're continuing just where we left off, and he's resigned himself to the situation he's in as Mr. R. And Chris is basically rubbing his nose in it, so to speak. He's already got as much as, he's pretty much got not a full confession, but he said, came to meet a kid, admitted he's a school teacher. So let's see where it leads, shall we?
Not like that's a bad thing, innocent enough.
I knew I shouldn't have come. I knew I shouldn't have come. I'm sorry, man. I knew it.
What school do you teach at, Jim?
I'm not going to tell you. You're going to find out. I'm going to get arrested, I'm sure.
How about St. Margaret of York?
That's it.
Is that right? Do you coach too?
Not anymore, apparently.
You say, I guess I'd like to kiss you. You say, I
guess
guess I'd kiss you too then.
Look, dude, I know what I said. I shouldn't have said it. My life just ended completely.
You see, yeah, it's like I've said, isn't it, many times, it's the full gravity of the situation when it hits them is usually what's the most entertaining. But with this guy, it sort of hit him all of a sudden as soon as he saw Chris round the corner, and then he just kind of immediately surrendered to the situation and just kind of went, yeah, this is the situation I'm in, I'll sit down, I'll take it. And he's basically saying, listen, there's no need to fucking tell me what's in there. I know what you've got. Just fucking tell me how it's going to go. What have I got to do here? Well, not what have I got to do, but what's going to happen. He knows, well, I mean, obviously you would do, wouldn't you? You know you're not going to teach again. And it's kind of trying to think, like, it's pretty much like, be like me coming home, and I'm trying to think of some kind of comparison, but obviously I'm not involved in any kind of dodgy dealings that would, I don't know, I'm trying to, something that, I don't know, let's just say you come home and you've got a dark secret from your past, and it just all comes out in the open, like, you I can't think of anything that, it's bizarre. I suppose that's the reason, isn't it? You can't really put yourself in that position, as well as dealing with, like, the gravity of it's attempted, like, assaults on children and sort of, molestation, child molestation. Your life's just ruined, isn't it? Everything's been destroyed. His wife left him a few days ago. He can't teach again. He knows he's going to be on national TV. He's going to be arrested. It's like, good God, it can't really get any worse, can it?
Why did you do it?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I have no damn clue. This was the stupidest thing I've ever done.
Well, kind of goes without saying, really, doesn't it, Mr. R? Of course it's the stupidest thing you've ever done. Well, let's fucking hope so, anyway.
Just end it, man. This is...
Where are you most ticklish? All over. Oh, my God.
Dude, I don't care. I know what I said. You don't need it for your TV.
You don't care?
I know that. No. All right, let me phrase it.
It's kind of... I've wondered this sometimes. When Chris... I mean, he's obviously doing it for entertainment purposes. He's a journalist. He can say he's trying to get in the Reds and understand it, but it's television. They want decent television, but if someone sits there... Excuse me, got a bit of a frog in my throat. so to speak. If someone sits there and says, listen, everything you've got there is true, everything I've done is wrong, I know I'm on telly, can we just get this dealt with? But yet Chris goes through the chat log. Now, obviously, you could say deserves everything he gets, and from a certain perspective, you'd be right. But really, I mean, with regard to the police, it's obviously very important that they go through the chat log, and even with like, I would imagine there'd be some kind of classes or, you know, treatment that he has to go to, and he'll do it then. But you know, for sort of to Chris to go through it, it's just rubbing salt in the wound, isn't it? Really.
No. I'd like you to sit down, please.
I know you would. I'll tell. I mean, I know what I said.
It gets a lot worse than that.
Yeah, I know, and I don't want to get into that. If I'm going to be arrested, just please have me arrested.
He's surrendered to the situation, but it's such an enormous situation that there's different, what do you call it, stages, isn't there, of like dealing with it, you know, like, this is a bit like dealing with the, you know, anger, denial, all that kind of stuff. It's like different layers that's coming over him, isn't it? It's like heads down in his hands. He's kind of like, even though he resigned himself to the situation, sat down and said, let me get this over with. It's because of the full intense life-changing situation. It's not something he can process all at once in one quick second and say, right, let's deal with it. Unless you're a certain type of character. There's certain people that walk in, it's just kind of like, they're a bit blasé, and they're a bit like, it depends on your character. Do you remember the guy the Riverside Sting? And he's like, yeah, I know, I was wrong. And he's kind of come across as like, on the surface, quite a likeable, cheeky chappy type character. Obviously, none of these guys are likeable, but what I'm trying to say is, if you were to meet him, you'd be like, oh, he seems like a friendly bloke. And a lot of them, you know, they hide behind that charming exterior, don't they? Who was it? What am I thinking of now? He brought in the beer. It's like dead chubby, wearing the baseball cap. He goes, and he got warned by Perverted Justice before, and he kind of accepted it. He said, I'm wrong, man, just let me deal with it. But it's like, people like that don't have as much to lose, do they? It's like I've said in the last video, a lot of these people are just down and outs, aren't they? They're just people that have lost the way in life, or never found the way. You know, to lose one's way, one must first have it. This guy, you know, well educated, etc., good job, was married, not a bad looking lad, nice car. Some of the other guys get caught. It's a totally different situation for them, isn't it? Because although they are facing the prospect of losing their freedom, it may not be something new to them. Some of them will have been in trouble with the law before. I believe the guy I'm talking about, if you know who it is, in fact, just give me a sec. Keith Williams, I believe, was the guy I was talking about. But what I'm trying to say is, for those type of people, may have been in trouble before, may have been in jail before, maybe not employed, probably haven't got a girlfriend. What are they really losing? The freedom doesn't mean that much to them, does it? Of course it does, but not someone like him, Mr. R, being in prison, a little bit like a fish out of water. Somebody like some of the others caught, it's not necessarily a huge deal from one perspective, where as with somebody like Mr. R here, it's a massive thing, isn't it? It's overwhelming, and that's what he's struggling to deal with at the minute.
I need help, obviously.
Do you do this often?
No, this is the first time I've ever done
This is the first time. You know, because I've heard that a lot.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure I'm
It
probably not the
seems
first
like
guy to do this.
everybody who comes into this house says it's their first time.
I'm sure they do.
So, what were you going to do with this 13-year-old girl?
I wasn't really going to. I mean, I called her earlier and said I'm not really comfortable with this. I didn't, and she kept saying, "Come on, I'll just hang out." I didn't want to do anything.
But you did get in the car
I don't
and
know
drive
why.
here from
the whole
Cincinnati.
damn way, I was thinking, "What am I doing? Why am I just not going home?"
But still, you
Yeah,
drove
I did.
here.
I
You
don't
got out,
know
you knocked on
why.
the door, and you walked in.
I know. I didn't want to.
And you're all anxious, wanting to see the girl.
She just said, "I'm just going to watch a movie," and I said, "Well, what the hell? I'll sit there and watch a movie with her."
Want to make out.
Look,
Sure.
dude.
I mean, this isn't to be on his side, and I'm sure there'd be a lot of people ready to jump on it and go, "Oh, you're taking out from." But he was. I remember, like, when the decoy was saying, "I'm so bored here." Not to say at all that they are forced into it. That's not the case at all. Because they're adults, they're responsible for their own decisions, and also what you got to remember, for anybody that might be thinking it's a little unfair to sort of try and entice them, you could get real teenagers like that. Let's just say this is a real situation. You know, school teacher, young 13-year-old girl has got a crush on him. You would get girls that are like enticing him, well, not enticing him, but, even begging him to come over, but you can't, for a number of reasons, and he obviously, his temptation has got the better of him on this occasion, hasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the police are probably here. I'm going to go.
Right now, I totally do it.
You want to know why I was doing all that? Honestly?
Yeah.
I am going through a divorce. My wife Thursday told me she was leaving me. I don't know what spawned this. I mean, I was just in an Ohio chat room, an adult chat room, and this was a week or so ago, and she started talking to me.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it right for you to...
I know.
Well, when he said she started talking to me, I believe he initiated the first contact. Let me just double check that. So there we have it. The first contact is actually from him, where he says, "Hey," but he said, when she started talking to me, or words to that effect. But of course, it's just a play on words, isn't it? He knows he's gone out there to talk to her first, but of course, when he means she started talking to me, is like, in other words, he's saying she responded to me. Let's just sort of look at the bizarre "I'm going through a divorce" excuse. Now, obviously, there's no point even going into, does it justify what he's doing? Of course it doesn't. Is it someone who has these attractions, shall we say, who, if he wasn't going through a divorce, maybe wouldn't have done this? Well, he works in his school. There's allegations that there was some inappropriate behaviour potentially there. So, I don't think you could say at all that it would have any bearing. With regard to the timing, certainly is. If he was him, you'd be thinking, shit, that was bad timing, really bad timing. He could have gone, if it weren't for To Catch a Predator, he could have gone the rest of his life without getting involved in this kind of stuff. He might have played with it online and never took the step towards meeting them. maybe we can go into that, explore that a little bit more when we look at his police interview, because I looked at a clip of the police interview just by accident, really. It flashed up on my YouTube thing today, and it looked quite interesting.
This kind of
I know,
discussion.
and I shouldn't have.
Look, divorce is tough. Everybody gets that.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to make fun of that, right?
Well,
okay, it's not
on
good.
top of that, what kills me right now, on top of the fact that I just blew that part of my life, and I don't even know you, I don't know why I just ruined the rest of my life. I just lost my job as a teacher. I'm probably going to go to jail. I'm not going to survive in jail. For what?
So, yeah, he's basically, no, he's a dead man walking. That's what he's resigned himself to. He knows that his life is over, even though it isn't at this day. You know, the sort of emotional anguish that's been put upon him, well, not been put upon him, it's all his own doing, will have been enormous. But at this point, he's accepted that his life's over. That's why I think he's got what you might consider to be courage, because what's left? He knows, he's intelligent enough to know there's no way out of it. He's intelligent enough to know he can't talk his way out of it. I think maybe that's why he's being rather candid, there's that word, as much as he probably can be.
For what?
For what?
I don't know.
Do you have an issue with the internet? Do you have a compulsion, an addiction?
I think I do. I mean, it's not.
Help me to explain.
I don't know.
Help me to understand.
I've thought about this a lot for years. Maybe I should just stop.
For years? Just said for years, didn't it? That's interesting. So that would suggest that this has been ongoing for quite a while, whilst he's 26, we can't have been a teacher for that long, so that holds credence to the possibility that he got involved in teaching for the reason that he's in that room now. It also gives a bit of weight to these stories that we've heard that certain students got freaked out about him. Even though I said you've got to take those reports with a pinch of salt, and even though we're watching this now, you still got to do that, because how many people are going to jump out of the woodwork? But if someone credible came along with a believable story, you'd have to give them the benefit of the doubt, wouldn't you? Because there was no doubt that this guy will have been maybe not preying on them, but you could maybe suggest that, but let's just say eyeing them up at a very minimum. There's no doubt that will have been happening. If this guy was willing to go all the way to this house, put his life on the line, end his life basically, fuck knows what he was getting up to in that school. Do you know what I mean? Because clearly the guy's got no specific moral issue with what he's doing. You know, there will have been a bit of a part of him, surely. I find it hard to believe that no human being could have, well, I mean, we know some don't, but I believe there will have been I'd like to think there'd be a little part of him that'll have thought, God, I can't do this, but clearly not that much, because he's done everything that he's done. His hesitation might have just been based on fear, and having fear and a moral realisation are two completely different things. So what he said there, it puts a whole nother dimension on what's happening. He's kind of tripped himself up, really, hasn't he, by saying that? I mean, you can't have a go at, Chris hasn't got the time to have a, delve into everything he says, but, if it was like a really thorough analysis of his words, I mean, he's being open as well, isn't he? You can't say, he's tripped up there, because he is, he's not saying, no, I came here to deliver a pizza. He's not coming out with a crazy story, is he? Hey, maybe they should say that. Maybe they could, turn up with, who ordered a pizza? Domino's Pizza, and then if there's no TV, if there's no camera crew there, just go, it was just a cover, anyway. Oh, hang on.
maybe I should get counseling, maybe I should get help. And I thought, well, it's not that big a deal. I've never taken it to this step. I don't know if this week has just pushed me over the edge.
Look, you're not the first guy to have an issue with the internet and sexually charged conversations.
You got that right.
It's not.
I don't know why I said that in a stupid American voice. Never mind.
We see it a lot.
Instead of me being arrested.
I'll just say it in my usual stupid English voice. Because that does sound stupid.
So is there some way you can help me?
Well, I don't know that I can do that.
I mean, will you give me some of the information here and tell me what exactly is going on?
Do you want to know what's going on? Do you ever watch television? Do you ever watch Dateline NBC?
Oh, damn, I've seen one of these.
You've seen one of these.
You know, that was one of the reasons I thought, why am I doing this? This could be a setup.
So he just said there, that's one of the things that made me think, why am I doing this? So that would, you know, like I said, that would say that it's just his hesitation was based on fear, rather than, am I doing the right thing? Is it a good idea? You know, it's just like, he was just scared of getting caught.
But let me get this
And rightly fucking so.
straight. You've actually seen our previous programs on computer predators.
I didn't think I was a predator. I wasn't coming up here for anything physical. I know I talk. Look, that was.
He didn't think he was a predator. Well, most predators don't think of themselves as predators, do they? I mean, if you think the word predator, and we've never really. It's funny, I don't think we've ever spoke about this. The word predator, obviously, I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, but the word predator is used in, you know, to an animal that tries to divulge another animal to survive. You're a predator. So obviously what they're saying is that these people prey upon children and they want to consume them for their own ongoing whatever. But obviously it's a slightly different. But it's done to signify someone who's scary, someone who is fearful, you know, invokes fear. None of these people will see themselves that way. They don't see themselves as monsters. They want to satisfy the urges, or I've struggled to find a word to satisfy the need. It's not something that you can categorize into one word, but you get what I mean. So, you know, he says, I didn't think I was a predator. Well, of course he doesn't. I mean, it's a close analogy, but of course he doesn't attribute himself to, he's not going to see himself as a big bad monster that lurks round corners and waits to jump on women to devour them. Of course he's not going to see himself that way.
Fantasy. That was like
I
fantasy.
know, but everybody says that. But what's going to happen if I'm not here and the 13-year-old girl is?
Good question.
You got all charged up by seeing
I know.
this gal on the webcam.
I know. I don't know why.
Could I kiss you any?
You see, pauses and pauses and pauses. I think we had to wait a good few seconds then, didn't we? Until Chris finally got an answer. Well, he's still not got an answer, has he? What am I on about?
Anywhere.
I'm sorry.
That'd be fun.
I'm sorry, so there's no denial. Even though we said earlier I wasn't coming for anything physical, Chris has just took him through what he was there for. And because he is participating in it in a quite open way and trying to be honest, but I think there's a part of him that knows, I think part of the reason why he's being relatively candid is he's kind of trying to make up for his wrongdoings and saying, well, at least I'm being open about it now. He's trying to give himself some, I wouldn't say pride back, but himself a bit of a little bit of retribution, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's part of it. Why he's being like this.
I know it's
point and I'd kiss it.
Can I go?
just stays silent, doesn't he?
Look, there's nothing I can do to keep you here.
I'm sure you're going to turn this into the police, right?
Well,
I'm going to be on TV.
That's not up to me. I mean, we're doing a story. You've seen the stories before. Didn't you think, after seeing the previous stories,
I did,
that maybe this is something I shouldn't do?
That's why I didn't want to come. I really.
So he's telling you everything you need to hear. That's why he didn't want to come, because he didn't want to get caught. Not because he thinks it's wrong, not because he might have been sorry for some child that was there. You know, it's quite interesting, isn't it?
Deep down, thought this is the stupidest idea. I don't know why I'm here.
But
I know.
Nobody was twisting your arm.
You're right. You're 100%
You're a
right.
grown-up.
Yeah. I don't feel like one right now. I feel like an idiot.
I mean, I'm just trying to understand how it gets to this point. You even acknowledge it's wrong here, but I don't want either of us getting into trouble.
I know. I knew I could get in a lot of trouble for this. I don't know why I'm here.
You talk about
Stupid.
parking around back. I'm so freaking horny.
Yeah.
You know, if you had me naked, I'd want more, right? Yeah, I would too.
Look, man, you don't have to read it. Your TV, everybody that's watching this knows why I'm here. It was stupid.
Have you noticed as well how many people, even though they know that it's some kind of setup, as soon as they see the cameras, they leave, which would be a normal reaction, wouldn't it? You're faced with that physical reality of that camera being in your face, and then people looking into you becomes a reality. You see the camera, and that's the eyes of the nation. You see that's what you want to walk away from. But yet, some of them, like him for instance, don't go anywhere. And I've not watched all this the way through before. I'm finding this quite interesting to go through, if I'm being honest. I'm only at 10 minutes, and there's 36 minutes of this interview left, and also we've got the police interview to do as well, which I believe was quite interesting. So, got quite a lot to get my teeth into here. I'm going to leave it there because it's quite late actually where I am. I need to go to bed to get up for work. So, yeah. So, I shouldn't be fucking watching this before I go to bed, should I? Right. Anyway, that's my, maybe I'll read a Star Wars book before I go. Anyway, guys, as ever, please leave any comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're enjoying these. Because there's no point me spending time doing it unless you are. So, let me know, and I will speak to you soon.